Often referred to as Britain's city of the future, Milton Keynes has provided urban planners with a unique opportunity to design and build a city with a population of 185,000 in a little more than 2 decades. Maintaining a balance between nature and technological progress, coupled with the need to maintain a pleasant and healthy environment, is fundamental to the philosophy of the new city. It's no coincidence that Milton Keynes was recently declared Britain's cleanest city in a national litter survey by the Tidy Britain Group. Milton Keynes Borough Council places a very high priority on the maintenance of a clean local environment. Today, the words environment and green are on everyone's lips, but in Milton Keynes there's been a long-established effort to achieve a green environment in more senses than one. As far back as 1982, the Borough Council helped to set up one of Britain's earliest municipal waste recycling schemes. CROP, the Community Recycling Opportunities Programme, was established as an independent charitable company whose aim was to provide the means of recycling domestic and industrial waste products as a public service. The project was led by the Reverend Bob Brown, who sadly died early in 1990, but it's thanks to his far-sightedness and a total commitment to recycling that CROP is now the keystone in a progressive municipal waste recycling scheme, which will ultimately cover the whole borough. Since its inception, CROP has handled recycled paper from households, factories, offices and schools, which is then collected by CROP's own vans and sorted, prior to its purchase by Cheshire Recycling at Ellesmere Port. Cardboard, mostly from businesses, is compressed and baled using special baling equipment and is sold to a national waste paper merchant. Facilities for the collection of cans has been provided by SaverCan and exist at 9 sites around the city, including all the major shopping centres. At CROP's premises, the cans, which are also collected by schools and industry, are separated into steel and aluminium using a magnetic can separating system. They are then compressed, baled and sent on for smelting. Fixed facilities for the collection of glass were first provided in 1983. By 1989, there were 24 collection sites, all operating on a full colour separation basis. Within a year, the number had increased to 37. The Borough Council's policy is that every local, district and central shopping area will have at least one set of bottle banks. In population terms, this means one bottle bank for every 5,000 inhabitants. As well as receiving and sorting household glass, CROP is involved in recycling large amounts of industrial reject cullet, which is sold to United Glass for reprocessing. In the period between 1984 and 1990, CROP increased recycled waste tonnages 7-fold, from 500 tonnes to more than 3,500 tonnes. But even this is relatively small compared to the potential for the borough as a whole. What it really needed was a major political initiative to establish a full-scale municipal materials recycling programme that integrated the efforts of the council, its cleansing contractor, CROP, and the product recycling and packaging industries. The first step towards this came with the borough's adoption, in full and unmodified form, of the Friends of the Earth's Environmental Charter for local government during 1989. This decision put recycling firmly on the local agenda. Then, in February 1990, the council appointed its first recycling officer, Keith Hamilton, whose job it is to oversee and develop recycling schemes operating within the borough, and to work in close liaison with CROP. The council's plan for recycling embraces the underwriting of CROP's continued operation, given that it will have an expanded role as new schemes come into force. The council is committed to the use, wherever possible, of recycled products, especially in areas like copying and printing, where there is a high volume of usage. All the council's vehicles must run on diesel fuel or unleaded petrol. And in the offices, a waste paper collection scheme in which paper is placed into green bins for collection and sorting by crop is operated. But by far the biggest task of the recycling officer to date has been the launch, on June the 4th, 1990, of the Borough Council's pilot door-to-door household waste collection scheme.
The grounds of Linford Manor were the green setting for today's official celebrity launch. The official in question was Lord Hesketh, Government Environment spokesman in the Lords. The celebrity was Bill Oddie.
It should be an offence to actually put it in a bin and just leave it. So therefore, this country is already many, many years behind many other countries and many, many years behind the goal which we should have. Having said that, obviously, it isn't a law. It's left to the initiative of local councils, and this one's setting a very, very good example.
We've got to make it work within a real community like Milton Keynes, and I think that for the future, the children who are here today are also absolutely crucial because they've got to acquire the habit.
The launch was accompanied by a burst of the Milton Keynes recycling song performed by local school children. This scheme's success depends largely on the enthusiasm already demonstrated by local youngsters in urging their families' cooperation. This experiment will run initially for 3 years. Today, Milton Keynes set itself the goal of becoming Britain's environmental guiding light. Other local authorities will be watching with interest.
Although there are similar schemes elsewhere in the UK, the Borough Council is already very proud of its success. One major factor which differentiates this scheme from the other schemes is the way the materials are pre-sorted.
Rather than the single box system, which is what they use in Sheffield and elsewhere, we went for a two-box system, which is a red box and a blue box. And in the red box, they put the newspapers, the idea being read and read it into the red box. In the blue box, they put the other three materials. So there is involvement from the general public, and they seem to want that involvement. They seem to feel that they are doing something that's really worthwhile, and clearly they are, because the first separation, therefore, is with them.
Household collections are made weekly using the brightly coloured, purpose-designed collection vehicle. The first of 6 such vehicles planned to be in service by 1993, it cost the council £55,000 and is operated by Municipal Cleansing Services, the council's cleansing contractor. A principal feature of this scheme is that materials are sorted before arriving at crops premises. The vehicles are designed to allow separation of glass, plastic, cans and paper. Glass is further separated into 3 main types: green, brown and clear. Materials collected by the vehicle are taken to Crop's 12,500 square foot premises, where they're weighed and prepared for shipment. But is there a sufficient market for this kind of waste?
Well, a lot of our time initially was set up purely spent on getting guaranteed markets. We decided, and the authority decided, unless we could get the markets, then we wouldn't do recycling. And industries has produced the goods.
The pilot scheme is making provision for the collection of plastic containers. Material collected from households and from 7 plastic bank locations are taken to Crop, where a plastics compactor and baler has been provided by Recoup. Volume averages at between 1.5 and 2 tonnes a week.
Well, the scheme is collecting all plastic bottles. From there, they're baled, transported up to a reprocessing plant called Reprise. From there, the materials are separated into the 3 main types of plastics. They're cleaned, reground, and then sold for post-consumer goods. The quality is very good. The plastic has been well separated. Most of the tops have been removed from the containers, as we were asking, and the plastics initially pre-squashed to reduce the transport costs. And the baler that has been supplied by Recoup is producing very good quality bales.
An unexpected aspect of the programme is the role that Dairycrest is playing in the collection of plastic containers in the northwest of the city. 10 delivery floats are equipped with plastic slings into which the roundsman places recyclable plastic materials. This method, which collects from an area of 5,000 households, is set to expand citywide. What is unique about the Milton Keynes programme is that it's been designed as a totally integrated concept which allows for expansion and modification where appropriate. It's an approach that has enabled the pilot door-to-door scheme to be up and running in a fairly short space of time. It's also an approach which allows for experimentation of new ideas. Ideas like the plastic recycling banks, of which a total of 7 are sited in main shopping areas and outlying rural centres. It has also enabled the council to work in partnership with Buckinghamshire County Council to reclaim harmful CFCs from white goods appliances at its civic amenity sites in the borough. Milton Keynes' position at the forefront of municipal recycling initiatives was the reason for its being chosen by the Alliance for Beverage Cartons in the Environment to host an experiment into ways of collecting, baling and handling beverage cartons, the only one of its kind in the country. The city has long been the home of the Open University, and it's with this world-renowned distance learning centre that the Borough Council enjoys a continuing working relationship. This example of where the OU and the Council are working together could result in the possible use of degradable household waste as the basis for garden compost. Apart from resulting in a further reduction in waste, this compost will provide an alternative to the use of peat, thereby protecting threatened wildlife habitats. With environmental issues now firmly on the educational agenda, local school children have been eager to participate in a scheme which, after all, is an investment in their future.
The cost to us all is very high. When someone can tell me what the environment is worth, or what the true cost of that is, then I can tell them whether recycling is of value or not. And we clearly made a choice here. We think it is, and we think the cost of recycling is worth every penny.
Milton Keynes Borough Council. Recycling today for a cleaner tomorrow.